All right, family. Yeah, Joy. He said it's going straight to voicemail. Is it dead or something? Oh, okay. So you want a whole fried chicken? And what else? That's it. All right, 23 minutes, baby. All right. All right, I'm back. All right, family. Let's do this here tonight. Let me make sure that everybody can hear me before I get to uh, get too far in. As you can see, let me know I don't want this here. Get out of this. Okay, family. Yeah, I ain't missed today. For those that coming in, I ain't missed today. I ain't missed today. I'll tell you that. Great. Okay, that's cool. Awesome. All right. What's up, family? Get out of here. All right. Everybody, can everybody hear me? Everybody can hear me? Let me make sure. All right. All right. All right, family. Listen. A few minutes. As you can see, our guest speaker tonight, none other than Zion Lexx, a brother that been in the Hebrew way for many years, grew up Torah on observing, but the Most High is waking up His people. He's in the awakening. He's like you and I, and many of us, but He's above us. He's fluent in Hebrew. He understands the culture, the language, and so I told y'all I'm gonna bring you some hard hitters, those that me and Dez we eat from the same table, and so that's why we can speak the same language. And so, family, as you see, I'm gonna hold you up because I want you to hear it. Now, in the midst of his teaching, he does do commercial breaks to what I'm looking for, to advertise for our community. So don't get lost on that. Don't get lost on that. So let me do a share right quick. All right. Okay. No way. Okay. Okay. I gotta move because it's saying that my might go to sleep on me. So if you see me moving, that's what I'm doing, family. My battery about to. Sorry about that. My. So let me get all this here up here. You see me moving, I gotta move to a designated area because my battery about to die on me. So let me get up here. This is where our sound boot is. Our sound boot here. So gotta get up here so we can, because if not, we're gonna die. All right, I got power, I got juice. So family, sorry for the movement, but it showed me earlier it was charged, but I guess it's not. So praise the Most High. So we're gonna bring in. I see there's okay. We're gonna bring in our guest speaker, none other than Zion Lexx.
Stream is up right now. So anybody that wants to join the live stream, you can feel free to do so. Only thing we're gonna need y'all to do is make sure that you show your face. Show your face. We want to see who you are. Show your face. Right? We want to make sure we can see who you are. Show your face. Having said that, how's my volume? Can I get a mic check? If you guys can hear me clear, type a 1 in the room. If y'all can hear me clear, type a 1 in the room. How's my mic? Am I coming across clear? Can y'all hear me clear? If so, type a 1 and let me know. Type of 1 and let me know. All right, y'all can hear me. All right. Shout out to Aishat Khalil. I see you. Shout out to you. All right. So as you guys can see, today's title is Yeshua, the oral tradition, and the branch, right? There's a lot of excitement that I've been creating in the community as of late, centered around my awakening to Yeshua as Hamashiach, Yeshua as the Messiah. And I've been getting all kind of insults, all kind of backbiting comments behind the scenes from people, mostly people who can't even show their face, by the way. So you know you can't put no respect on that. People hiding behind fake YouTube pages. Listen, if you feel some type of way about me having a messianic awakening, then show your real face. The live stream is up right now. Jump on. Like I said, and I've been saying, if you feeling froggy, jump. The link to the live stream is on. So, you know, a lot of people have been very, very happy to see and witness my awakening, knowing where I came from as a person who disagreed with the New Testament and even attacked it, to a person who began to greatly co-sign it, but that was still sketchy because I still wasn't saying that Yeshua was the Messiah, albeit I saw him as a messianic type figure. To now, I am fully entrenched and immersed in the notion and idea that Yeshua is the Mashiach. He is Hamashiach. And I triple double dare anybody to show and prove otherwise. I double and triple dare anybody and their mama to show and prove wise. All right. Otherwise. And so this journey that I have, that I've been going through, has opened my eyes to many things. Among the many things it has opened my eyes to do is to go back, relook, and reconsider many of the things that I was reading in the text of the Torah and the Tanakh, to know finally that much of what I had believed, taught, and even studied was wrong as it pertains to the Messiah. And that's not a problem. Surely not a person that has humility, that shouldn't be a problem for, right? If I have zero humility and I'm realizing that I'm wrong, then sure, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to continue in that era and make a mockery of myself and maybe even God. But thank God, thank the Creator, I am not like that. Thank God, thank the Creator that I do still have some humility about myself. I do still have some shame about myself. And so as a result, I couldn't possibly see myself coming into this knowledge and this information and not only keeping silent about it and not sharing it with people, but, you know, not going out of my way to profess as a person who once attacked this. I feel like I have a special duty, right, to speak highly of the Messiah, being someone who once is infamously and notoriously known to attack Yeshua as the Messiah, right? So I almost feel like I have a mission in this moment in time to do what it is that you guys see me doing. And so one of the things that I'm going to point out immediately is going to be coming from the book of Matthew, chapter 23. So allow me to share my screen really quick. In the meantime, I'm going to ask the family to do what I always ask you guys to do, which is just the least that we all can do. Thumb up the video and share the live stream. Let's thumb up the video and share the live stream. The link to join the live stream is up. So if there's anybody out there in YouTube land that would like to join the live stream, by all means, the link has been posted for the last 10 minutes at least. Having said that, I got Matthew 23 and 2 open. I got Matthew chapter 23, verse 2 open. And what does Matthew 23 say? Let me see if I can make the words bigger because I want to make sure everybody could follow the reading. So excuse me, y'all. I want to make sure that these words are nice and big so everybody could follow the reading. There we go. Boom. And it says in the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 1, Az Yadaber Yeshua El Hamon, Ha'am we El Talmidah Lemor. And Yeshua spoke to the multitudes and to his disciples and the people, saying, Hasoferim we ha-perushim Yishvim al kisei Moshe. I'll read and say that again. Az Yadaber Yeshua El Hamon Ha'am We'el Talmidal Lemor. And then Yeshua spoke to the multitudes and to his disciples, saying, Hasoferim, the scribes, Wehaperushim, the Pharisees, Yishvim, sit, Al Kisei, upon the seat of Moshe, upon the seat of Moses. Yeshua says that the scribes and the Pharisees, they sit on the seat of Moses. What does that mean and what does that refer to? A lot of people have read this before and haven't really been thoroughly trained to know and understand exactly what the seat of Moses is a reference to. So allow me to show you guys really quick. I'm going to give you it in the form of a picture. All right. You guys will see my screen in a second. Let me disable that and reshare this. All right. So the seat of Moses is this. The seat of Moses. The seat of Moses is a seat upon which the smartest person in a congregation, in a temple gathering, sits. It's not just the smartest person, it's the person who has mastered the laws and teachings of Moses as given on Mount Sinai. So the seat of Moses is not some metaphorical statement that Yeshua is saying. It's a very literal statement. This is an actual seat of Moses that was found in 50 before the Common Era. 50 before the Common Era, which would literally be 50 years before Yeshua is even on the scene. 50 years before Yeshua is even on the scene, we have remnants of what is called and described the seat of Moses, upon which the smartest person in a synagogue would be seated. So now that we know and we understand that, let me now come back and say this to you. If Moses says that the scribes and the Pharisees, they sit in the seat of Moses, what is Yeshua telling you? He's telling you that of all the sects that exist in the first century Common Era, there are none quite like in terms of their knowledge and their teachings on the law of Moses, like the scribes and the Pharisees. These are the smartest groups of people when it comes to knowing and understanding the laws of Moses. They know all of the laws. They know all of its breakdowns. They are the masters, or what is called in the New Testament, the doctors of the law. So the first thing Yeshua says to his disciples, as he's setting them up for something even bigger, he says that the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Moses. And in verse 3, it says, Lakem kol asher yomru lakem. Therefore, everything they say, lakem, to you, shimru, shall you keep. We asu, and shall you do. Rak hashmiru, me asot. Ka me asehem, ki omrim hem we enekem. U sim. All things, therefore, whatever they bid you do, these shall you do and observe, but you shall not do after their works, for they say and they do not. That's quite interesting. Not only is Yeshua treating the Pharisees and the scribes as the doctors of the law of Moses, the go-to guys when it comes to wanting to understand the law, Yeshua says that's the Pharisees and that's the scribes. Then he goes on to tell his disciples and the multitudes of people surrounding him, therefore, everything that they say to you shall you do and shall you observe, but do not after their works, for they say and they do not. That is a heavy, heavy statement coming from Yeshua as told in the New Testament. That's a heavy, heavy statement. And oftentimes when this is read by Israelites in an 99.9% of Israelites get this part all the way wrong. Because we don't understand how someone can be condemned for the wicked things that they uphold or do, all the while respected for their knowledge base. I'll say that again. We don't seem to understand how a wicked person can receive condemnation for the things that they do and that which they uphold righteously, all the while putting great respect on their knowledge base. Just because I disagree with someone's ways and their actions doesn't mean that I don't respect that they are scholars in their own right in their respective fields. So if I have an encounter with a doctor in the street, something that he does to me that's wicked, am I to spurn his wisdom? Am I to act like he don't know how to heal? Absolutely not. Because someone's ways and someone's actions, in some respect, it can reflect on what we call wisdom, but it does not take away from their knowledge base, the fact that they have great knowledge. So one thing that we should know and understand is that, yes, we can see Yeshua condemning the Pharisees in several places in the New Testament Gospels, but that does not and never was intended for us to believe that he did not have great respect for their knowledge base. Because notice what he goes on to say. Everything that they say or everything that they teach shall you do and observe. But after their works you shall not do, for they say and do not. So Yeshua is literally calling them hypocrites, because a hypocrite is first someone who knows the truth and consciously chooses to behave otherwise. A hypocrite is also someone who has great knowledge. A hypocrite is also someone who has great knowledge but little practice. But the point is, you cannot call someone a hypocrite unless first they know that which is true. So that's heavy. And I want to stay here for a moment because a lot of people miss this. A lot of people miss this. So I want to stay here for a moment. A lot of people miss the fact that because Yeshua condemns the actions of the Pharisees and the scribes, that in some way and somehow should mean that he doesn't respect their knowledge. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, not only does he have great respect for their knowledge, but his respect for their knowledge is so great that he tells his followers, his students, to follow everything that these guys say. That's deep. Because I could tell you right now, in the Israelite way of life, I've been blessed with some amazing teachers. And even amidst those amazing teachers that I have been blessed with, I don't know a single one of them, not a near nutter. I'm going to say it again. I don't know a single one of them, not a near nutter, that I could actually say or tell you that you should listen to everything that they say. That would be all cap, and I couldn't do that. I could not tell you in good faith to listen to every single thing that my teachers taught me, because I don't happen to agree with every single thing that my teachers taught me. So I hope that we understand that if Yeshua is telling his followers to follow after everything that the Pharisees teach, that must mean that he had great respect for that which they taught. And in case we think that they had no righteousness just because he condemns them, let me just remind you of something. Good people do bad things too. We expect wickedness and falsehood only from those who are wholly and truly wicked of heart. That's not true. Even good people at times fall short and find their hands in the cookie jar doing things that they ought not be doing. So I also say this: Yeshua's condemnation against the Pharisees does not take away all of their righteousness. It does not take away from the fact that they were still righteous individuals. Even righteous people can be condemned and can be called out to be those who fall short, that there are things that they could be better on. Absolutely. There's levels to this, as we say. There's levels of righteousness. How do we know that the Pharisees were not altogether wicked? because even as our sister put in the chat, Yeshua actually uses them as the standard of righteousness. Notice in the book of Matthew chapter 5, Yeshua says, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the scribes, you cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven. Unless your righteousness surpasses the Pharisees and the scribes, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. That's heavy, y'all. That's heavy, because what that's telling us is that he has great respect for their knowledge base, because he told his followers to follow everything that they teach. He also has great respect for their righteousness. He uses them as a standard of righteousness when he says, everything that they do, you shall follow, you shall keep, right? That's him respecting their knowledge base. He also lets you know that they are a righteous people, because he uses them as the standard of righteousness when he says, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the scribes, you shall surely not enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right. Silakli, my brother, Shivanya said, I'm a brother. Silakli. I have a sister who spells her name in Hebrew, Shavania, and she is Bat Yehuda. So my apologies. I thought you were her. All right. My apologies. All right. So I see that there might be someone in the chat room, hence why Cam is letting them know to hit the link. Yeah. I'm not sure who that is. I can't see them. And I'm going to just say right now, if I can't see them, it's possibly because they blocked. So I'm going to say this. If anybody want to hit the live stream, whether I've blocked you in the past or whatever, the link is on. You feeling froggy, jump on. The link is on. The only thing that we ask is that we can see your face. That's the only thing that we ask, is that we can see your face. The link is up there. All right. I'm not going to go crazy with this. I'm going to just say it again. The link is up there. So if there's anybody that would like to join the live stream, jump on. All right. I know a lot of people talking in the chat room. They disagree. Blah, blah, blah. He asked if I was a Christian. I do follow the Mashiach. I don't believe I'm a Christian. I don't believe that my ideas mesh well with Christianity, so I wouldn't call myself a Christian. But I got an even better idea for the brother who said that. You could jump your behind right on this live stream, and you could have a live conversation with me before the people. And we're gonna see real quick, real fast, who the Christian is. So if you feel like I'm a Christian, jump on the live stream. I'm not gonna antagonize you. I'm gonna let you speak, and I'm gonna wait till you finish. And you're gonna let me speak, and you're gonna wait till I finish. And we're gonna trade a little bit. And in that trade, I guarantee you, in fact, I put everything on it that I know for a fact it's going to be shown that I'm not a Christian. So stop it. Stop it. All right, stop it. So again, we got 30 people in the room. Thumb up the video and share the live stream, family. Thumb up the video and share the live stream. We know that many more people will be coming in. Some people are at work, and that's cool. I also did not announce this live, so a lot of people don't even know we're live. That's why I'm asking everybody to take the link and share it on social media so that people know that we are streaming live. All right. Once again, will the sit down with me and Mighty Hebrew happen? Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. All right. Hopefully soon. Shout out to a couple of brothers in the building. Rav Zafon, More Uriah. Shout out to all of y'all. All right. So Yeshua again in Matthew 23:2 instructs his followers to follow after everything that the Pharisees and the scribes say, all the things that they teach. Whether you didn't realize it or not, that was Yeshua putting great respect in the oral tradition. So you might say, nah, he contradicts the traditions of men. Absolutely. He does contradict the traditions of men. The problem is you think the oral tradition is the traditions of men, and it's not. The oral tradition gives us an explanation for every single commandment given on Mount Sinai. All of the 613 commandments that were given on Mount Sinai, the oral tradition comes and it explains. That's a heavy, heavy thing to know and realize. That's the oral tradition, or i.e. the oral Torah. The oral Torah also gives great commentary and insight on all facets of Torah and Tanakh learning. So anything that we're reading in the Torah, anything that we're reading in the Tanakh, the oral tradition is also going to have many things to say about that. So where Yeshua condemns, quote unquote, the traditions of men, when you look at that passage in Hebrew or even in Aramaic, he's actually referring to something called tachanot. Tachanot. A tachana, or in plural, tachanot, are rabbinic rulings and later added injunctions, right? Added to bring the community together to be on one accord, but nonetheless added. So the Torah doesn't stipulate that our fringes should be so long that it looks like it's hitting the ground. But many of the rabbis believe that their fringes should be that long. The Torah does not stipulate that our phylacteries, our tefillin, should be so broad, so wide, and so big. But many of the rabbis, especially in Yeshua's time, they made their tefillin very broad, very wide, and very thick. So Yeshua is saying they are making a burden of the law of God, because God is not commanding of men the things that they are walking around and doing. He also makes jest at the fact that they love to be called of men rabbis. And when there's a congregational setting, they love to be seated in the foremost and chief seats, right? I could relate to that. I came up in the Israelite community. I've watched people with no real work. I'm going to watch my tongue when I say this because I got a lot of respect, but I'm going to still keep it real. I've watched people in the Israelite community coming up over the years with no real work. What they really had was long friendships with individuals in places of authority and power. And I've watched several of these individuals who otherwise should not be seated among heads of state, so to speak, or people who have a strong knowledge base along with application. A lot of these men were seated in these seats because of long-lasting friendships that they had. And that's not what it's all about. It's not even about being seated in a seat that is more prominent than others. It's not there as well. So yeah, that's some of the things that Yeshua spoke on. I'm not going to go into full detail as it pertains to Yeshua and the oral tradition, because I really came here to have the conversation about the branch. And so this is where things are about to get real interesting, real quick. I want to read something for you guys in the book of Matthew, chapter 2, towards the end. Let me share my screen. All right, moderators, by the way, if there's anybody trolling in the chat room, y'all can give them a warning. Y'all can put them in timeout. And if they continue to troll and get out of hand, by all means, there's a block button for a reason. All right, moderators. So if there's anybody trolling in the chat room, right, you could give them a warning, tell them chill out. After that, there's a reason why we have a block button. Y'all can feel free to block people. So here we go. In the book of Matthew, chapter 2, beginning about verse 20, let's say, something very controversial is on the rise. It says, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. That's a very controversial statement. And I've never been a person that runs from controversial statements. So if I'm going to validate the Gospels and the New Testament and Yeshua, then I had better be ready to defend it, right? Which is why for so long, while I had not fully embraced Yeshua as a Messiah, all the while still realizing that major parts of his narrative is true, I said to myself, I can't come out and begin to talk about these things until I'm fully able to defend why it is that I hold these views. So I just want to make something clear for everybody. The fact that I'm going public on my newfound views as it pertains to Yeshua and seeing him as a Messiah, as the Messiah, I hope if you got a little bit of knowledge about me, you clearly understand that if I go public on something like this, it also means I am ready to defend it. So by all means, I welcome all conversation and all smoke on this topic. Anybody. The link is on the live stream. So let's tackle something that is rather controversial. Where does it say in the Old Testament prophecies that the Mashiach shall be called a Nazarene? Where in the Old Testament prophecies is the Messiah called a Nazarene? And here is where knowledge of Hebrew is going to be greatly helpful, right? If you guys know Hebrew, we offer Hebrew classes. In fact, there's a Hebrew class tonight at 8 p.m. Excuse me, 7 p.m. 7:30 p.m. We got a Hebrew class, right? Here is where knowledge of Hebrew becomes very, very helpful, right? So I want to take y'all somewhere real quick. Because a lot of people in the Old Testament community, when they read Matthew chapter 2, verses 22 through 23, they say, aha, gotcha. Because they know Old Testament prophet referring to the Messiah as a Nazarene, hailing from Nazareth. Oh, really? I got something for you. And here we go. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 1, a number of things are being said in both English and Hebrew, and we will try our best to pay attention to both. In Isaiah 11 and 1, it says, "We yatsa koter mi geza Yishai," and a shoot will go forth from the stump of Yishai, from the stump of Jesse. And we netzer mi sharasha Yifare, and a branch from his stock or from his roots. This is very interesting. In reference to the Messianic king, in the 11th chapter of Isaiah, Isaiah refers to this Messianic king as Netzer in Hebrew, which is this word, Netzer. He calls him, i.e., the branch. He calls him, i.e., the branch. Highly significant, right? This is why in the Gospels you find Matthew saying that this was done, that it may be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. Matthew is referring to Isaiah chapter 11 and 1. Because the term Nazarene, although in English, it sounds like to you guys that in English, it's going back to the word Nazarite, which is not spelled the same way Netzer is spelled in Hebrew. Netzer is spelled in Hebrew Nun Zadeh Resh. A Nazarite in Hebrew is spelled Nun Zayin Yod Resh. Similar sounding letters, but not the same letter. So a Nazarite is something different from a Netzer. And the city of Nazareth does not get its name from the term Nazarite. It gets its name from the term Notzri and Netzer, which is the branch. the very way in which the Mashiach is spoken of in several biblical prophecies. But I want to take some time to really, really unpack this. All right. I want to take some time to really, really unpack this. All right. So watch what we'll do really quick. There's another portion in the Tanakh that talks about the branch, and that is in the book of Jeremiah. So let me show you guys something real quick. I'm going to go to Jeremiah chapter 23. And by the way, while we at it, let me see if I could pull up Matthew chapter 2 in the Hebrew to show you that Matthew was not talking about a Nazarene as in a Nazarite, but a Nazarene as in the branch, which is Netzer. So let me see if I could show y'all that real quick just before we get to Jeremiah. Give me a second to grab the Hebrew text of the New Testament. And let me go all the way down to verse 21. Let me see. Is that Mark? That's right. Boom. Right there. Right there. All right. Right there before your very eyes. All right. Give me a second. I got it. So let me unshare this screen and share you my new screen. And let me make this screen a little bigger so everybody can follow. Morey Gadal says Zion. That's a different word in Hebrew, isn't it? The Jeremiah one. Yeah, the Jeremiah one is a different word. And I'm going to point out why it's a different word in a moment. Before he said that, he said, Zion, do you believe in the dual nature of prophecy? Or to quote him verbatim, do you believe in dual prophecy? I absolutely do. I absolutely believe in the duality in prophecy. I absolutely do. All right. Here we go. So in the book of Matthew, chapter 2, right, roughly about verse 23, right? This was done, right, that it may be fulfilled. And it says right here, Notzeret, Nitzaret, or Nesaret. So that's the term right there in Hebrew, Netzaret. So for those of you who could read Hebrew, which I'm hoping to see the day when that's everybody on the live stream, that's a Hebrew Israelite. Where's my bomb? I'm hoping I'm going to see the day that that's everybody on the live stream that's an Israelite. All right. I'm hoping that everybody will be able to read Hebrew. But for now, those who are in our academy, Learn Torah Hebrew Academy, would be able to read this. So as you could see, and anyone else that reads Hebrew would be able to read this. As you can see, it literally says Netzeret. So that's the spelling. It does not contain the spelling of Nazarite. So we read of Yeshua in the New Testament as a Nazarene. It is not to describe him as a Nazarite. I know that they sound very much the same, but they are two completely different spellings in Hebrew. Then it calls him here Netzer. And you could, as you can see, it follows saying Hamashiach, right? Hamashiach right next to it. So right next to the term, you also have Hamashiach. Give me a second. And here it is right here. All right. Here it is right here, where he's being called the Mashiach, and he's being called Netzer. 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 So the Nazarene term, as used to describe Yeshua in the Gospels, is not connecting him with the notion of being a Nazarite. Now, If you was to ask me, was Yeshua a Nazarite? We could definitely have that conversation because there is 2 or 3 passages in the New Testament that alludes to the idea notion that he lived the life of a Nazarite. And I could show you and demonstrate that, but that's not the scope of this conversation. But in this conversation, I just want to clear up the fact that in Matthew chapter 2 and the last verse, verse 23, where it says that this was done that it might be fulfilled, where it says by the prophets that he shall be called a Nazarene. The prophet says that he will be called a branch, which is the term in Hebrew, netzer, that comes into Greek as the Nazarene and finally into English as the Nazarene. But it's going back to the Hebrew term netzer, which is the branch. So we know for a fact in the Tanakh, the Messiah is being called a branch, but he's being called a branch in 2 places. Here's where things get real interesting. The Messiah is called in the Tanakh a branch in 2 different places. And I also want to point something out to you. In the 2 different places that he's called a branch, 2 completely different Hebrew words are used. And that's going to mean a lot in a couple of seconds. Okay. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 5, Jeremiah also refers to a coming messianic king from David's line, who he also calls a branch. But for many of us, because we're not accustomed to reading the Torah and the Tanakh in Hebrew, we don't realize that there are 2 different words used in the Hebrew text. So allow me to show you this really quick. Now, keeping in mind that in the book of Isaiah, the branch that Isaiah is describing is called netzer. And that's just the shoot, right? The term netzer in Hebrew, that's literally describing the shoot or the stem, the protecting covering of a bud. Let me say something to you really quick, because what I'm going to say is deeply layered. So let me unshare the screen for a moment. The term natzer in Hebrew, natzer or netzer, not only can it mean shoot, not only can it mean branch, but it can also mean protecting bud, B-U-D, as in the bud of a plant. What is the protecting bud of a plant? It's that protective layer on a plant as it's beginning to sprout and shoot from the root and stem of said plant or said tree, or from the ground, the earth. The protective bud is usually protecting the first parts of the flower that is beginning to emerge from the stem or the root, or the first parts of the fruit that's beginning to stem or merge from out of the stem. So a protective bud is referring to a layer that is protecting the leaf of a plant as it is emerging from the ground or from a plant, or it's referring to the first parts of a fruit and the protecting of it. That is referred to as the bud. So the term natsir in Hebrew is not quote unquote just a quote unquote branch or stem of a tree. It's the protective bud. Let me show you that really quick before we go on, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm capping. So let me see if I could take a screenshot real quick and show y'all. I'm going to go and take you to the Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew, which anybody that follows my work, you know that's my go-to dictionary. Hands down, it is the best Hebrew dictionary on the market. I don't get no money for saying that, so I must mean that. And let me show you something. All right, boom. So let me take a picture of this so everybody could see. By the way, family, thumb up the video, share the live stream, and also, as always, Support the platform. Support the platform. Show your love. Show your love. Here we go. All right, you guys should be able to see that in a second. Let me throw that in my email. And let me show it to everybody live. I'll be back in a couple seconds. I want to make sure everybody could see this.
I wash my natural hair and my face with the same product because natural hair care is easy. Natural skin care is easy. Don't make it hard.
All right, y'all should be able to see this in my email in a couple seconds. Let me just take the time to pull that up real quick. In the meantime, thumb up the video and share the live stream as I pull this out via email. I want everybody to be able to see this. By the way, keep in mind our biblical Hebrew classes start tonight at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you guys sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/learn Torah. That's patreon.com/learn Torah. Make sure you guys join our Hebrew class if you want to learn this language, which is definitely going to help you to learn and internalize the truths in the Torah and the Tanakh. Then you definitely want to join our biblical Hebrew classes. I'm going to tell you that right now. You definitely want to join those classes. All right. Just waiting on that to come through. As soon as that come through in my email, I'm going to show y'all. Just give me a couple of seconds. There we go. I had a little lag, so I apologize. But it's coming. It's coming. All right, here we go. You guys let me know when you can see my screen. I'm going to share my screen right now and just let me know when you can see it. Type in 1 in the room, everybody, when y'all can see my screen. Type in 1 in the room. That's an excerpt from the Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew. Please do type a 1 in the room when you can see that on your screen. All right, clearly. So, in the Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew, it's defining the term netzer. And let's see what the definitions say. One definition is to say controlling, and it gives you the passage in the Torah and the Tanakh. One says preserving from harm, right? Note 3, that's Psalm 25:10. One says protecting, Isaiah 1:18. One definition of netzer is a watchman. One of the ways of describing a watchman in biblical Hebrew is to call him a netzer. And then finally, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 1, the netzer, the branch, is a protected bud from a plant. That is crucial, everybody, to where I'm about to take this. So please make sure you have this duly noted in your mental Rolodex. Highlight this, guys. Write this down. The term netzer, as defined in the Etymological Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew, it defines the word as a protected bud, as in a bud of a plant. It's that protective layer. That's going to be highly significant in quantifying to you what it is that I want to say. In the book of Isaiah, in the book of Jeremiah, both of the prophets are talking about a branch that would come from the loins of David, a messianic king, a messianic ruler. There's a huge difference, though, between these two branches, because Isaiah calls this branch Netzer. Jeremiah calls the other branch Zemak. What's the difference? Netzer in Hebrew is not simply a branch or shoot from a tree. It's the protective bud. It's that protective outer layer, and sometimes even the protective inner layer of a leaf, plant, or fruit, protecting it, serving as a protective hedge around it, so that anything coming to harm it is blocked off by its protecting hands or power. I'm going to say that again, because where I'm going with this is about to get heavy real damn quick. Both Jeremiah and Isaiah both describe the messianic figure as a branch. Jeremiah uses a completely different word. He uses the word zemak. By the way, I'm going to show y'all, I was going to say in a couple of moments, but I'm going to show y'all right now. Let me make sure I have it ready. I'm going to show y'all both words defined on the screen so you could fully see the difference between zemak as well as the word netzer, both words meaning branch. I want y'all to be able to see this for yourself. All right. So again, in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 5, he's also describing someone as a messianic king, who he also is calling a branch. But then he doesn't use the term that Isaiah does. In Isaiah 11 and 1, he used the term zemak. Why is this interesting? Because in the oral tradition, they speak of the Mashiach having two different properties. To the extent that the rabbis and sages of the oral tradition, they treated the Mashiach as if he was two different people. They referred to one as Mashiach ben Yosef, who would come into the world to suffer and die in order to protect and save his people. I hope y'all listening to the key words. The oral tradition refers to two messiahs, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. Mashiach ben Joseph is coming into the world to suffer and die in order to protect and save Israel from their sins. Why is this highly significant? Because even the two branches described in the book of Isaiah chapter 11 verse 1 by Isaiah, in the book of Jeremiah chapter 23 and 5 by Jeremiah, are two different Hebrew words. One word, netzer, which is a protective bud, the protective layer surrounding the initial stages of the sprouting of a leaf, a fruit, or a tree. That inner and outer protective layer is referred to as a bud. You'll see it sometimes on a rose. As a rose is being born out, sprouting out, you'll see that enclosure. You see it with several different types of fruit. There's an inner layer that protects, there's an outer layer that protects. Both layers are referred to as buds. Notice this term, netzer, is not just a branch, a shoot, or a bud, but it is a protective branch. Its job is to simply guard and protect. What does that mean? Its job is to stand in the way of the fire so that that which it is protecting does not get hurt. But y'all don't hear me though. The sages of the oral tradition speak of two messiahs or two comings of the same Messiah. They speak of Mashiach ben Joseph, who's coming to die, suffer, in order to protect and save his people of their sins. Then they speak of Mashiach ben David, a valiant king that would judge the nations, gather in the exile host of the children of Israel, and spawn the rebuilding of the third temple. Well, I'll tell you something. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and 1, Isaiah says, let me share my screen. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 1, Isaiah begins to describe a messianic figure who he says will be a branch out of the stock or root of Jesse, right? He calls this person Netzer. Netzer. As we saw, Netzer is not simply a branch, sprout, or shoot. It's that protective layer which can be on the outside and the inside, protecting and guarding a leaf, a plant, or the beginning stages of a fruit being born. So Isaiah is describing a messianic figure unlike the messianic figure that Jeremiah is describing. How do we know? They're using two completely different words. So the branch that Isaiah is talking about is the Hebrew term netzer. Now let's go to the book of Jeremiah real quick. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 5, look at what the prophet Jeremiah goes on to say. I'll start at verse 4. And I will appoint over them shepherds who will tend them. They shall no longer fear or be dismayed, and none of them shall be missing, declares God. See, a time is coming, declares God, when I will raise up a true branch of David's line. He shall reign as king and shall prosper and shall do what is just and right in the land. This is Mashiach ben David. Isaiah is not talking about Mashiach ben David. Isaiah's prophecies are mainly concerned with Mashiach ben Yosef, the person who is coming to die and suffer in order that his suffering and death protect and save his people. Even as the branch that Isaiah describes is not simply the Hebrew word for a branch, but it is its protective covering. Whereas the term for branch as used in Jeremiah 23 and 5 is the Hebrew word zemak. The Hebrew word zemak. Zemak in Hebrew, that is just simply branch. That's it. It has no other meaning than denoting something that is shooting forth and growing. It's a branch protruding. That's the only meaning. The only meaning of zemak in biblical Hebrew is that it denotes something that is protruding from the ground. It's a shoot from a plant. It's a sprout. It's a branch. That's it. The word that Isaiah is using in Isaiah 11 and 1 is much more than that, because he doesn't use the term zemak. That is just a branch, any old part of it. Isaiah is talking about a protective bud, that which would act and serve as a protective barrier. So how many of you have seen movies where in a military setting, a bomb goes off and you have a very, let's say, patriotic soldier on the battlefield, and rather than have everybody die, the soldier jumped over the whole bomb and took the blunt force of it. He died, but he saved everybody else. But are y'all hearing me? Because if you are, everything I'm saying right now is deep as you know what. So make sure you following me. In the book of Isaiah 11 and 1, Isaiah is describing a branch, a messianic figure. In the book of Jeremiah 23 and 5, Jeremiah is also describing a messianic figure and is also calling that messianic figure a branch. The only difference is in biblical Hebrew, those are two completely different words. Jeremiah is simply talking about, figuratively, anyone that would branch forth, sprout from, grow, and emerge from the Davidic line to rule as king in Israel in the Messianic era. Isaiah is going a step further. Y'all want to get heavier? Woo! Y'all want to get heavier? Who comes first, chronologically speaking? Isaiah or Jeremiah? Y'all want to get heavy for a second? Let's go there. Isaiah's branch is not just a branch, a sprout, or a bud. It's its protective layer. That which is protecting it insidiously, that which is protecting it externally, that which is in full protection of it. Jeremiah's branch is just that, a branch. Isaiah's branch is protecting and covering it, both insidiously and externally, serving as a perfect covering to ensure that that which is inside is protected from harm, from danger. The oral tradition speaks of Mashiach ben Joseph, someone who would die, someone who would suffer, and that his suffering and his death would protect and save his people. He is to be followed by another messianic figure known as Mashiach ben David, who will judge the nations, gather in the exile host of the children of Israel, and spawn the rebuilding of the third and final temple. Guess what I just showed y'all? That both the oral tradition and the written text of the Torah and the Tanakh are on the same page. Because just like the oral tradition describes two different roles of the Messiah, one who would come to suffer and die, and whose suffering and death would protect and save his people of their sins, to be followed by another Messiah that would judge the nations, gather in the exiles, and spawn the rebuilding of the third and final temple in Israel. But let's get heavier, because the oral tradition says before Mashiach ben Joseph comes, who the oral tradition regards to be the guy that will judge the nations, gather in the exiled host of the children of Israel from the four corners of the world, and spawn the rebuilding of the third temple, the sages of the oral tradition say before that Messiah comes, he will be preceded by Mashiach ben Joseph, who's not coming to judge the nations, who's not coming to gather in the exile host of the children of Israel or spawn the rebuilding of the third temple, but who's simply coming to suffer and die, even as Isaiah 53 describes, and that through his suffering and death, he would save his people, protect and save his people from sin. That's heavy, as you know what. We're going to say AF for the purpose of YouTube. That's heavy AF. That's heavy as hell. But let's go a step further, because I read somewhere that chronologically speaking, the prophet Isaiah is much earlier than the prophet Jeremiah. And the first messianic figure to be described as a branch is being described as a zemak. As a netzer. And that's the messianic figure that Isaiah is talking about. So here is what we can say right now. Here is what we know for a fact. The messianic figure described as a branch in the book of Isaiah is completely different than the messianic figure that is described as a branch in the book of Jeremiah. How do we know? They are completely different Hebrew words. The branch that Isaiah is talking about is not simply a branch, it's the protective layer and cover. That's why the Hebrew word netzer is used. Netzer in Hebrew represents protecting. But hold on. Let me see if I can show y'all that real quick. Throw up the video, share the live stream. And if you guys been enjoying this live stream, make sure you support the platform. I didn't get a single donation as yet. Hopefully, before we close the live stream, our people will show some love. In the meantime, I'll be right back with some more receipts. And here we go. And here we go. You guys should be able to see my screen in a couple of seconds. Here we go. And by the way, even the people that hate me, they watching and taking notes. And by the way, even the people that hate me and talk about me, they watching and they taking notes. But we're going to state this for the record. We all know where we first heard this, right? But we're going to state this for the record. We all know where we first heard this, right? So when y'all catch these teachers out there, they act like they don't mess with Zion Lexx, all the while using what we all know to be things that Zion Lexx first brought in the community. That's your opportunity to call those brothers out as hypocrites, because there are several teachers in the Israelite community that are using things that I uniquely brought into the community, and because they don't like me, they don't mention their source where they got it from. So y'all make sure when they start jacking these things that y'all remind them that y'all are some hypocrites. But here we go. As mentioned earlier, and as you can see on the screen, and I'll make it even bigger, the branch that Isaiah is describing in Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 1 is not the branch that the prophet Jeremiah is describing in Jeremiah 23 and 5. The branch that Isaiah is describing in 11 and 1 is serving as a protective covering, right? If you guys know anything about flora and fauna, botanical life, agriculture, you would know that the bud of a tree, the bud of a leaf, the bud of a fruit is also serving as a protective coating and a protective layer. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a whole lecture on that, but for the meantime, I'm going to just be clear and show you what we can see in the Hebrew. The Hebrew clearly tells us that the word for branch, netzer, denotes a protected bud. That's why the Hebrew word netzer is used here for branch, because the branch that Isaiah is talking about is not the branch that Jeremiah is talking about. Isaiah's branch is protecting something, so that that which he's protecting does not suffer and does not die. Are y'all hearing me? because that's what a protective layer is there for, to protect something from possible obstruction or destruction, wear and tear, or complete destruction. Notice that when Jeremiah the prophet speaks about the branch, his branch is simply called a branch because Jeremiah is just simply talking about the messianic king that's coming to judge all nations, that's coming to gather in the exile host of the children of Israel, and it's coming to spawn the rebuilding of the third temple. Isaiah's branch is different. His branch is like the 53rd chapter of Isaiah, where he later goes on to enumerate more about this protective branch that would suffer and die in order to protect and save his people from their sins. And that's all I got for you today. To the rest of y'all, I'm not sure why y'all not on Learn Torah Hebrew Academy, but y'all need to join because you could learn so much more about the truths taught in the Hebrew Bible if you had a better understanding of the Hebrew language. But we got to go a step further because there's a lot of teachers in the Hebrew community that know Hebrew. But I got a question for y'all. And this is not a question of ego, it's a question of truth. How many teachers you know bringing this out? With that being said, all praise to the Most High and shalom. Thumb up the video, share the live stream, donate to the platform. I am your brother Zion Lexx, and I am also out. Peace. If you guys want to learn more about who the Messiah is, I suggest that you go out and you get my books. The Messiah Codex Volume 1, the Messiah Codex Volume 2, and wait on it, Messiah Codex Volume 3 is on the way. By the time you finish reading these 3 books, it will literally be insane and impossible to even fix your mouth to say that Yeshua is not the Messiah. Having said that, Shalom Aleichem and peace.
If you want to have a better view on how the Bible looks at women in its proper context, then you should get these 2 books. Matriarchs of the Covenant, written by Abdil Ben Levi, popularly known as Zion Lexx. This is a masterpiece.
All right, family. So, what you think, man? Listen, I'm telling you, move this camera down a little bit. I'm telling you, got a little rush, busy in the kitchen. But family, like I said, we gonna bring let me see what's going on here. I'm on something else that I shouldn't be on. You know what that is? That's our Facebook thing. Let me shut that down for a second. That's what that's going on too. Yeah. But anyhow, just listen to it in the background, family. I ain't gonna mess up nothing. That's Young Tarua in the background. And so we celebrate that. But listen, once again, we bringing some heavy hitters. Family, I hope that you learned something tonight. And as my brother Zion Lexx said, get the books, get the books, get the books. So I'm going to be bringing you some heavy hitters. And so this is going to be for students, family. Students, those who wants to dig in the word. Man, I wish this thing, cause this, hold on, okay. Maybe that's me, hold on for a second. Yeah, that's me. But anyhow, just try to just ignore the noise in the background, because I don't want to move this, because I might shut myself off. Okay? So, but anyhow, family, peace out. And as I always say, may Jehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Jehovah make his face shine upon thee and be glorious to thee. May Jehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Have an awesome, incredible evening. And I pray that you'll purchase the book. Check out my brother Zion Lexx. He's awesome. He's an awesome teacher. Me and Dez has learned a lot from him and many others, family. And so I want to continue to pray that the Most High, as Brother Dez go out tonight, serve and protect the greater Houston, Texas, that Jehovah will be his shield, that Jehovah will watch over him. And as he go out, and as he did David, he went out and he brought him back. So until we meet again, if the Most High said it again on Thursday, Freestyle Thursday, be peace, family. Thank you for tuning in. Show my brother Zion Lexx and all those guest speakers that will be tuning in. Show them love, family. Check out their site, purchase their books and whatever it may be, family. But until then, peace out. Shalom, Yisrael.